Welcome, my little flowers, to our quiet sanctuary. Tonight, we journey far away, stepping beneath the ancient eaves of Fangorn Forest to discover the slow, peaceful lore of the Ents. As the waking world rushes by, here we embrace the unhurried pace of the oldest trees, since this safe space will soon lull you into a deep, restorative sleep. Please take a few gentle seconds right now to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This ensures I can meet you here every single night. Now, take a long, deep breath in. Exhale softly. Close your eyes, let go of the day's worries, and let us enter the story. The journey begins at the very edge of the known world, where the endless, rolling grasslands of Rohan finally yield to something much older and infinitely more patient. The sun has begun its slow, inevitable descent beneath the horizon, pulling the last remnants of the day's frantic energy down with it. In its wake, the sky is painted in soft, muted tones of fading violet and deep indigo, a heavy twilight that settles over the earth like a comforting blanket. You stand in the tall grass, feeling the evening breeze slow to a gentle, lazy sigh, as if the world itself is finally exhaling after a long, exhausting day. Ahead of you, rising like a grand, silent wall against the darkening sky, are the outer eaves of Amberona. This is Fangorn Forest. It does not loom with malice, nor does it threaten. Instead, it waits with the profound, quiet patience of a guardian who has stood unmoving for thousands of years. The immense scale of the trees at the forest edge is humbling, their broad leaves capturing the final whispers of daylight. As you take a slow, deliberate breath, you can feel the frantic, rushing nature of the outside world beginning to dissolve, replaced by a deep, ancient stillness that invites you to leave your worries behind in the fading light. You take your first step toward the shadowy threshold, the tall, dry grass brushing softly against your legs, a quiet, shushing sound that naturally slows your footsteps. With every inch you move closer to the tree line, the air around you begins to change. The open, exposed feeling of the plains evaporates, replaced by a deeply cozy, heavily insulated atmosphere. The ancient trees at the border stand shoulder to shoulder, their massive trunks wider than houses, coated in thick, soft layers of velvet moss that drink in the sound of the wind. As you cross beneath the very first archway of interlocking branches, a profound hush falls over you. It is as if an invisible, heavy, acoustic curtain has been drawn shut behind you, cutting off the vastness of the plains and enclosing you in a small, safe, and entirely private sanctuary. The silence here is not empty. It is a rich, heavy nighttime silence woven from the memories of the earth and the slow, slumbering thoughts of the wood. The transition is both physical and mental, a clear boundary between the waking hours of forcing and rushing, and the gentle, unbothered power of simply growing, of simply being. You allow your shoulders to drop, feeling the comforting weight of the forest sage pressing softly against your tired mind. Now fully beneath the canopy, the true twilight of Fangorn embraces you. The light here is ethereal and soft, filtering down through millions of broad leaves to paint the forest floor in pools of midnight blue and charcoal. In this gentle, low-saturation world, there are no harsh edges and no sudden movements to startling the eye. Instead, tiny dust motes dance lazily in the few remaining beams of pale starlight, floating effortlessly in the still, dim air. You reach out, letting your fingertips trace the rough, ancient bark of a colossal trunk. It is cool to the touch, grounding your senses in the present moment, anchoring you to the stable, unyielding earth. The scent of the forest is overwhelmingly comforting, a rich, earthy perfume of damp soil, resting leaves, and ancient stone. It smells of petrichor and thyme, a fragrance that bypasses conscious thought and speaks directly to the most primal, weary parts of your spirit, assuring you that you are entirely safe. This environment is intentionally stuffy, like an ancient, beloved room where the furniture has not been moved for generations. It wraps around you, a sensory cocoon that naturally encourages your eyes to grow heavy and your breathing to deepen. As you walk deeper into the indigo shadows, you begin to notice the unique absence of ordinary animal noise. There are no frantic birds darting between the branches, no insects buzzing hastily in the undergrowth, no sudden scurrying of small creatures. The forest is entirely devoid of the chaotic, exhausting energy of typical wildlife. Instead, the wood possesses a singular, unified presence. You are not walking through a collection of individual plants. You are moving through one vast, existent entity that is currently in a state of profound rest. The only sound is the incredibly slow, almost imperceptible rustling of the canopy high above, a sound that mimics the deep oceanic swell of a sleeping giant's breath. It is a slow, rhythmic hush that sweeps through the upper branches every few minutes, a majestic metronome for your own relaxation. Breathe in slowly, drawing in the cool, moss-filtered air as the canopy rises. Breathe out, releasing every ounce of tension in your muscles as the leaves settle back into complete stillness. You are sinking into the rhythm of the Ents, beings who consider a single thought over the course of days, beings who possess infinite patience and demand absolutely nothing from you. The path ahead winds gently downward, carrying you further away from the edges of consciousness and deeper into the protective heart of Amberona. Heavy, trailing beards of grey lichen hang from the boughs like soft curtains, swaying by a fraction of an inch in the stagnant, heavy air. Every visual element in this lo-fi, muted woodland is designed to soothe. The deep blue shadows pool at the base of the giant roots, obscuring the path in a soft, dreamy haze that requires no focus, only blind, trusting surrender. You do not need to know exactly where you are going, you only need to follow the subtle, downward pull of gravity and the comforting embrace of the ancient wood. With every deliberate, slow-motion step, your physical body feels heavier, as if the very gravity of this primordial place is gently pressing you down, preparing you for a long, uninterrupted slumber. The distant plains of Rohan are nothing more than a forgotten dream now, and the frantic ticking of the clock has been entirely silenced. You are sheltered beneath the great eaves of the tree shepherds, safe within the profound, nostalgic melancholy of a world that simply watches, breathes, and rests. Let the darkness fold over you, complete and comforting, as you drift further into the beautiful, sleepy silence of the forest. You gently leave the murmuring banks of the Onodlo behind, allowing the winding river to continue its slow journey toward the distant plains, while your own path draws you ever deeper into the ancient heart of the wood. With every unhurried step you take away from the water, the colossal trees seem to grow unimaginably taller, their massive trunks rising upwards like the grand, silent pillars of a forgotten temple. The spaces between these ancient giants begin to narrow, weaving a dense and impenetrable barrier against the outside world. As you tilt your head back to gaze towards the heavens, you notice that the night sky is no longer a vast and open expanse of indigo. Instead, the colossal branches high above stretch out and interlock with one another, weaving an immense, protective ceiling of dark wood and heavy foliage. This natural roof is thick and continuous, shielding the forest floor from the harshness of the elements and ensuring that the deep, sleepy atmosphere of the woodland remains entirely undisturbed. As the canopy closes tightly over you, The temperature of the air begins to shift subtly, losing the cool moisture of the riverbank and taking on a deeply cozy, insulated warmth. You are stepping into the most secluded chambers of Amberona, a hidden sanctuary where the rushing and forcing of the waking hours are simply not allowed to exist. The darkness here is richer, painted in heavy charcoal tones and profound midnight blues that ask nothing of your tired eyes, inviting them to rest in the gentle shadows. Suspended from the massive interlocking boughs high above is the most defining feature of this ancient woodland. Millions of long, weeping beards of grey lichen trail down from the canopy, cascading toward the forest floor like delicate, ragged curtains of soft shadow. These trailing whiskers of moss are incredibly thick, draping over the heavy branches and transforming the towering trees into slumbering, bearded guardians of the night. Although the air around you feels entirely still and stagnant, devoid of even the slightest evening breeze, the long strands of lichen sway gently back and forth by a fraction of an inch. It is as if they are moved by the deep, imperceptible breathing of the forest itself, rising and falling in a rhythmic, oceanic motion that mesmerizes the mind. You stand still for a long moment, watching this incredibly slow, hypnotic sway. It is a visual metronome, a deeply soothing pendulum that swings with infinite patience, naturally coaxing your own heart rate to slow down and match its lethargic pace. The weeping lichen acts as a massive acoustic dampener, absorbing any stray sounds and creating an environment of absolute heavy silence. In this heavily muted space, there are no sudden noises to startle you awake, no sharp echoes to disturb your peace. The trailing moss filters the faint, ethereal starlight that manages to pierce the canopy, reducing it to tiny, floating specks of pale luminescence that dance lazily in the dim air, mirroring the gentle descent of your own consciousness into sleep. As you move slowly beneath these swaying curtains of moss, a profound sensation of physical comfort settles over you. The atmosphere in this part of the forest is uniquely dim and intentionally stuffy, holding the heavy, untouched air of a massive, ancient room where the furniture has not been moved or changed for countless generations. Far from feeling oppressive, this stuffiness is intensely comforting and deeply nostalgic. It creates a sensory cocoon around you, pressing gently against your skin with the familiar, soothing weight of a heavy, warm blanket. This is the ultimate protective embrace of the tree shepherds, a physical manifestation of their desire to shelter and preserve. The thick, moss-draped canopy traps the earthy, rich scents of ancient bark, dried leaves, and resting soil, wrapping you in an olfactory lullaby that speaks to the deepest, most primal need for safety. You can feel the sheer gravity of the thousands of years that have passed peacefully in this exact spot. A weight of time that presses you down, smoothing out the lingering anxieties of your modern life. Your shoulders drop completely, releasing the final remnants of tension that you have been carrying throughout the day. You realize that you are entirely insulated from the demands of the world in this ancient, untouched room of the forest. There are no expectations, no deadlines, and no rushing. There is only the stuffy, warm, and heavily protected present moment, inviting you to surrender your physical body to the soft earth and the waiting shadows. The urge to close your eyes becomes a heavy, sweet ache, a natural response to the deeply sleepy mood of the weeping canopy. You allow your footsteps to slow to a mere shuffle, your legs feeling wonderfully heavy and relaxed as you drift through the quiet aisles of towering trunks. The grey beards of lichen brush softly against the top of your head, a gentle tactile reassurance that you are welcome here, that you belong in this quiet stasis. You take a slow, expansive breath in, filling your lungs with the ancient, insulated air, feeling the comforting pressure of the forest around you. As you exhale, you sink deeper into the feeling of the weighted blanket, letting your consciousness blur and soften at the edges. The deep indigo shadows pool around your feet, rising slowly like a gentle tide to envelop your weary limbs. The forest is watching over you, a unified, existent entity that holds perfectly still so that you might finally rest. You do not need to stay awake to guard yourself. The colossal trees, with their heavy, trailing moss and infinite patience, are standing vigil in your place. They have stood here since the shaping of the world, and they will continue to stand here long after you have drifted off into a deep, restorative slumber. Let the heavy, stuffy warmth of the canopy fold over you entirely. Let the slow, hypnotic sway of the weeping lichen guide you down into the dark, peaceful depths of your own mind as you walk softly toward the edge of dreams. You leave the heavily draped aisles of the central woodland, allowing the soft, padded earth beneath your feet to subtly change its texture. The gentle, flat carpet of fallen leaves gradually gives way to a slow, sloping incline. You are now walking toward the ancient roots of the world, venturing into the rocky foothills of Methydras, the great and final peak of the towering Misty Mountains. The air here takes on a slightly different quality. It remains comfortably dim and heavily insulated, yet it carries the faint, crisp scent of cool mountain stone mixed with the deep, earthy fragrance of undisturbed soil. The heavy nighttime silence of the forest follows you upward, wrapping around your shoulders like a familiar, comforting cloak. With each unhurried step on this rising path, you feel a pleasant lethargy spreading through your muscles. The climb is not strenuous. Instead, it feels like you are simply floating upward, carried by the gentle, unseen currents of the sleeping wood. As you drift higher into this secluded, stony valley, the landscape transforms into a rolling ocean of colossal, moss-covered shapes. These are not hills of earth, but the immense, sprawling roots of the oldest trees in Middle-earth, anchoring the giant shepherds firmly to the bedrock. The sheer scale of these roots is entirely humbling, stretching out before you like the slumbering bodies of ancient guardians resting beneath a blanket of velvet green. They are massive, curving structures, wider than roads and taller than houses, winding endlessly over and under one another to form a labyrinth of deep, shadowy valleys. The muted color palette of the lo-fi night perfectly complements this grand architecture. Deep indigo shadows pool densely in the crevices between the roots, creating pockets of absolute, welcoming darkness that invite your tired eyes to simply let go. You walk slowly through this magnificent root valley, running your fingertips lightly along the thick, soft moss that covers the wood. The ground beneath your feet is incredibly stable, offering a profound sense of security and permanence. This place has endured the shifting of ages, entirely unbothered by the passing of centuries. The frantic, rushing anxieties of your daily life cannot reach you here. They are blocked by the massive stone walls of Methydras and the impenetrable, heavy canopy of the ancient trees. You are safe. You are hidden. You are exactly where you need to be to find absolute, restorative peace. Tiny, ethereal dust motes continue to dance lazily in the scarce starlight, floating effortlessly through the still, dim air, mirroring the gentle drifting of your own thoughts as they slowly power down for the night. You pause in your slow wandering, coming to a gentle halt before the trunk of a tree so impossibly large that it seems to form a solid wall of living wood. Its bark is rugged and deeply grooved, a testament to thousands of years of quiet, patient existence, drawn by a deep, instinctual comfort You step closer and gently press the palm of your hand flat against the rough, ancient surface. Instantly, you feel it. Beneath the thick layers of bark and moss, there is a slow, rhythmic vibration pulsing deep within the heartwood. It is a profound, low-frequency resonance, a rumbling hum that you feel in your bones more than you hear with your ears. The tree is breathing. It is not the quick, shallow respiration of the chaotic animal world, but an immense, lethargic expansion and contraction that operates on a geological scale. The ancient wood takes a very long time to do anything, and its breath is a testament to the infinite patience of the Ents, beings who refuse to be rushed by the fleeting demands of time. As you keep your hand pressed against the bark, you can feel the slow, oceanic swell of the trunk expanding outward, gathering the cool night air into its massive, unseen lungs. This deep, physical vibration offers a perfect, steady metronome for your own weary body. You naturally desire to align your rhythm with the peaceful stasis of the ancient forest. Let us breathe together with the tree, slowing the frantic pacing of the day down to the heavy, restful tempo of the wood. As you feel the trunk begin to slowly expand beneath your hand, take a long, deep breath in, drawing the cool, fragrant mountain air deep into your chest, filling your lungs entirely as the tree fills its own. Hold it gently for a moment in the quiet dark. And now, as the vibration shifts and the great trunk slowly settles back into itself, exhale completely, releasing a long, soft sigh into the night, letting every ounce of tension drain from your muscles, sinking heavier into the soft earth. Wait in the stillness. And again, as the ancient wood expands, breathe in slowly, gathering peace, gathering comfort, feeling the ancient strength of the forest supporting you. Hold that profound stillness. And as the tree exhales, breathe out slowly, letting go of all remaining thoughts, feeling the comforting gravity of the roots pulling you deeper into a state of absolute, unbothered rest. You continue this slow, synchronized rhythm, matching your breath to the ancient pulse of the earth. 6 slow breaths for every minute that passes, a deliberate, calming cycle that communicates directly to your nervous system, assuring your body that it is time to sleep. The deep indigo shadows around you seem to grow even softer, blurring the edges of the colossal roots until the world becomes a hazy, beautiful watercolor of midnight blues and charcoal grays. The heavy nighttime silence of the forest is now a part of you, a quiet sanctuary that exists within your own mind. You feel wonderfully heavy, as if your limbs are made of the same ancient, unyielding stone as the mountain of Methydras itself. The urge to drift away is irresistible, a sweet, overwhelming wave of tiredness that washes over your consciousness. You are anchored by the giant roots, protected by the heavy canopy, and cradled by the slow, oceanic breathing of the oldest living things in the world. There is no past to regret, and no future to worry about. There is only the gentle rise and fall of this present moment. Surrender entirely to the heavy, stuffy warmth of the hidden valley. Let the slow, rhythmic vibration of the ancient tree carry you downward, deeper and deeper into the velvety darkness, as you cross the final threshold into a long, deep and dreamless slumber. You slowly release your hand from the comforting, vibrating bark of the ancient root, feeling deeply anchored by the steady heartbeat of the earth. The upward path continues, winding its way out of the hidden, stony valley and gently guiding you toward a slight elevation in the landscape. The soft moss beneath your feet begins to give way to smooth, weathered stone, forming a natural, unhurried staircase that climbs gradually through the shadows. This is not a steep or demanding ascent. Rather, It is a peaceful, floating rise, as if the sleeping forest is effortlessly lifting you up to offer a broader perspective, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. You are approaching a place known in the ancient lore as Treebeard's Hill, though the tree shepherds themselves would consider the word hill far too hasty and trivial, a term for a magnificent structure of bedrock that has stood perfectly still since this part of the world was first shaped. As you climb the rough, broken steps, you feel the heavy, stuffy warmth of the lower woods begin to mingle with a slightly cooler, fresher current of nighttime air. The dense and impenetrable canopy that has sheltered your journey so far begins to thin just a fraction, allowing tiny, ethereal glimmers of pale starlight to guide your ascending footsteps. You move with infinite patience, letting the lethargic, unbothered spirit of the Ents dictate your rhythm. There is absolutely no need to rush, for this ancient stone shelf has waited thousands of years for your arrival, and it will remain here in complete peace for thousands more. You take one final, slow step and emerge onto a wide, flat shelf of solid rock that protrudes from the side of the elevation. Here, the towering trees momentarily step back, offering a rare and breathtaking clearing in the heavily insulated woodland. You walk slowly to the edge of the smooth stone shelf and look outward, allowing your weary eyes to take in the sheer, unimaginable vastness of Amberona. Stretching out before you, as far as the eye can see in every direction, is an endless, undulating ocean of dark treetops. The immense canopy rolls and swells like the gentle waves of a midnight sea, painted in profoundly soothing shades of deep indigo, midnight blue, and charcoal grey. The leaves catch the faint, ethereal glow of the starry sky, shimmering softly like microscopic pearls resting on a bed of dark velvet. This is the true scale of the ancient world, a sprawling, untamed expanse of living, breathing wood that dwarfs the fleeting anxieties of your daily life. Looking out over this magnificent, slumbering ocean, your own worries suddenly feel impossibly small and entirely insignificant. The rushing and forcing of the modern age, the relentless ticking of the clock, and the heavy burdens you carry on your shoulders simply cannot exist in the face of such overwhelming permanence. You are a quiet observer of a landscape that does not care about deadlines or expectations. It only cares about the gentle power of growing and the deep, necessary silence of resting. A very gentle, lazy breeze sweeps across the high stone shelf, carrying with it the crisp, clean scent of the high mountain peaks, mixed with the deeply nostalgic fragrance of resting leaves and ancient bark. It brushes softly against your face, a cool and refreshing touch that washes away any remaining tension lingering in your jaw, your neck, and your shoulders. You close your eyes for a moment, simply listening to the heavy nighttime silence of the endless forest below. It is not an empty silence, but a rich, acoustic tapestry woven from the microscopic rustling of billions of leaves and the slow, oceanic breathing of the giant tree shepherds who stand vigil in the dark. It sounds like a singular, unified exhalation, a long and peaceful sigh that sweeps across the valley and carries your thoughts far away into the misty distance. When you open your eyes again, you watch the dust motes dancing in the faint starlight, drifting lazily over the precipice and floating down into the indigo shadows below. You feel an intense, comforting separation from the busy world you left behind. Up here on the stony shelf, elevated above the heavy floor of the forest but still fiercely protected by the vastness of the wood, you are completely untouchable. You are wrapped in an invisible blanket of starlight and stasis, cradled by the very roots of the earth and watched over by beings of infinite, unyielding patience. As you stand at the edge of the ancient world, looking out over the sleepy, rolling waves of the canopy, a profound and heavy lethargy begins to settle deep into your bones. The sheer visual repetition of the dark, swaying treetops acts as a natural hypnotic trigger, drawing your conscious mind down into a state of beautiful, deeply insulated melancholy. It is the wistful, nostalgic yearning for a simpler, slower age, a time before the noise of machinery and the chaotic haste of the waking world. This heavy nostalgia wraps around your heart, slowing its beat to match the long, drawn-out tempo of the Ents. You realize that you do not have to hold on to anything anymore. You can simply let it all go, releasing your grip on the day and allowing your heavy limbs to sink into the comforting gravity of the stone. The ocean of leaves below continues its slow, rhythmic breathing, expanding and contracting with the geological heartbeat of Middle-earth. You take one more deep, expansive breath of the cool night air, filling your lungs with the absolute peace of the vast, unbroken wilderness. As you slowly exhale, you turn away from the expansive view, feeling fully prepared to descend even deeper into the hidden, unmapped sanctuaries of the forest. The journey inward calls to you once more, promising a realm of ultimate quiet and absolute rest. You are drifting beautifully now, sinking deeper and deeper into the muted, lo-fi shadows, ready to embrace the heavy, uninterrupted sleep that awaits you in the ancient heart of the wood. You slowly turn your back to the vast and endless ocean of starlit leaves, carrying the profound peace of the high stone shelf deep within your chest. With a slow and deliberate grace, you begin your descent back down the rough, ancient stairs, allowing the gentle gravity of the mountain to guide your relaxed footsteps. The heavy, insulated warmth of the lower forest rises to greet you, a comforting embrace that welcomes you back into the sleepy shadows of the ancient wood. As you drift downward along the hidden pathways, the landscape begins to change its shape once again, as less than #0. 5# is greater than. The colossal, broad-leaved guardians of the outer forest gradually step aside, replaced by dense, towering walls of dark evergreen trees. These immense pines and firs stand shoulder to shoulder, their thick, needle-covered branches weaving tightly together to form an impenetrable, natural barricade against the outside world. The air here is incredibly still and deeply fragrant, saturated with the crisp, clean scent of crushed pine needles, ancient resin, and cool mountain earth. It is a sharp, refreshing aroma that clears the mind of any lingering fog, yet simultaneously deepens the heavy, lethargic weight resting in your limbs. The deep indigo shadows pool thickly at the base of the evergreens, creating a soft, blurry corridor of midnight blues and charcoal greys that leads you ever closer to the hidden sanctuaries of Methydras. You follow this dark, cushioned pathway, feeling the soft carpet of fallen needles silencing your footsteps completely, rendering your journey entirely soundless and perfectly serene. The path winds gently into a deep and narrow fold in the mountain slopes, a secluded rocky bay heavily guarded by the silent, towering evergreens. As you approach this hidden space, a new and beautiful sound begins to weave itself into the heavy, nighttime silence of the forest. It is not the slow, unbroken murmur of the wide river you left behind, but rather the gentle, continuous rush of a fresh mountain spring falling over stone. You follow the soothing, acoustic rhythm, letting it draw you into a wide, roofless space surrounded by sheer, moss-covered cliffs. There, rising before you in the dim and ethereal starlight, is a magnificent arched entrance carved naturally into the side of the mountain. Above this high stone arch, a pristine stream wells up from the deep bedrock of the earth, spilling over the edge of the cliff to form a shimmering silver curtain of falling water. This is the entrance to Wellinghall, the ancient and sacred Ent house of Treebeard, a place of ultimate refuge and profound, unbroken peace. The water cascades downward in a mesmerizing slow-motion display, catching the faint, muted light of the stars and turning it into a brilliant, soft glowing veil. The sound of the falling water is heavily muffled by the thick moss and the dense evergreens, producing a low-frequency, rumbling white noise that acts as a natural lullaby for the exhausted mind. You stand before the shimmering curtain, entirely captivated by the endless, liquid motion, feeling the hypnotic rhythm pulling you further away from the waking world and deeper into a state of beautiful, unquestioning surrender. You step slowly toward the arched entrance, feeling a cool, refreshing mist rolling off the falling water and sweeping gently across your face. It is a delicate, invisible touch that feels incredibly soothing against your tired skin, a natural balm that smooths away the harshness of the day. The shimmering curtain of Wellinghall serves as a perfect physical boundary between the chaotic rushing of the modern age and the absolute stasis of the ancient forest. To cross this threshold is to leave behind every expectation, every worry, and every demanding thought that has anchored you to the waking hours is less than #0. 5# is greater than. You stand just inches from the falling spring, closing your eyes and letting the gentle, rushing sound fill your ears entirely. Let us use this acoustic veil to wash away the final remnants of tension. Take a slow, deep breath in, drawing the clean, misty air deep into your lungs, feeling a cool and restorative energy expanding within your chest. Hold it for a moment, listening to the eternal, unbothered flow of the water. And now, as you exhale slowly, imagine the shimmering curtain washing over your mind, carrying away all your anxieties, all your doubts, and all your physical exhaustion, sweeping them down into the dark, mossy earth, where they simply cease to exist. You are being psychologically cleansed by the ancient spring, purified by the heavily insulated and sleepy mood of the surrounding woodland. The burden of consciousness is lifting, replaced by an overwhelming, heavy desire to simply rest, to simply be, with a slow, effortless movement. You step forward, passing directly through the shimmering silver curtain of water. For a brief, magical second, you are enveloped in a cool, rushing embrace, the gentle droplets brushing softly against your skin without truly making you wet. And then, you emerge on the other side, stepping into the profound and absolute sanctuary hidden behind the veil. You have entered the inner hall of Wellinghall. The transformation is immediate and breathtaking. The sound of the falling water is instantly muffled, reduced to a distant, comforting hum that echoes softly off the dry, ancient stone walls. The air inside this hidden cavern is perfectly still, intentionally stuffy and intensely cozy, holding the profound comfort of a secluded room that has known nothing but absolute peace for thousands upon thousands of years. The deep indigo shadows here are heavier, more protective, wrapping around you like a thick, velvet blanket that shields you from the rest of the universe. Tiny, ethereal dust motes dance in the faint is less than #0. 5# is greater than subdued light that manages to filter through the water curtain suspended in the heavily insulated atmosphere. Your body feels wonderfully heavy now, your limbs weighted down by the sheer gravity of this ancient, untouched place. The outside world is completely gone, washed away by the mountain spring and blocked by the towering evergreens. You are safe, you are hidden, and you are entirely free to let go. Allow the heavy, stuffy warmth of Wellinghall to cradle you. Sink into the deep, charcoal darkness of this ultimate refuge, and let the gentle, distant hum of the falling water carry you downward into a deep, restorative, and beautifully endless slumber. You step fully away from the shimmering curtain of falling water, leaving the gentle, rushing acoustic veil behind as you cross the threshold into the deepest, most private sanctuary of the ancient wood. You have entered the inner chamber of Wellinghall, the sacred and hidden Ent house of the oldest tree shepherd in Middle-earth. As your tired eyes slowly adjust to the profound and heavy darkness of this secluded cavern, a magnificent sight gently reveals itself to you. This is not a hall built of dead stone and carved wood, but a vast, living architecture of unparalleled and breathtaking scale is less than #0. 5 is greater than. The cavern is completely roofless, opening upward like a grand, natural amphitheatre to reveal the beautiful expanse of the starry night sky. The heavy, interlocking canopy that has shielded your journey for so long is absent here, allowing a pure, ethereal starlight to cascade softly down into the wide, rocky basin. Yet, despite the open sky above, the atmosphere inside the hidden hall remains deeply insulated, capturing that perfectly stuffy, deeply nostalgic warmth of an ancient, beloved room. Towering trees line the main space, standing shoulder to shoulder in deliberate, perfectly spaced aisles. Their massive trunks rise like the grand, unyielding pillars of a forgotten cathedral, their smooth bark bathed in the muted, low saturation tones of deep indigo and midnight blue. The floor beneath your feet is a comforting mixture of smooth, weathered rock and patches of soft, yielding moss, creating a perfectly balanced foundation for your weary steps. You begin to walk slowly down the central aisle of the hall, your movements unhurried and completely devoid of any specific purpose or destination. The mountain stream that formed the silver curtain at the entrance now flows quietly alongside you, a narrow ribbon of dark water winding its way peacefully between the roots of the lining trees. Its voice is barely a whisper now, a delicate, liquid murmur that harmonizes beautifully with the heavy nighttime silence of the open room. With every deliberate step you take through this magnificent, untouched space, the sheer gravity of its age begins to press gently against your conscious mind. Wellinghall has stood in this exact configuration for countless thousands of years, is less than #0. 5 is greater than. It has endured the shifting of whole ages, the rising and falling of distant kingdoms, and the slow, inevitable turning of the stars, all without ever changing its fundamental, peaceful nature. The profound stasis of this place is overwhelmingly comforting to a tired soul. In your waking life, everything is in a constant state of flux, demanding your immediate attention, your energy, and your rapid adaptation. But here, in the quiet aisles of the Ent house, nothing changes, and absolutely nothing is expected of you. The heavy, charcoal shadows that pool between the giant tree trunks seem to act as a sponge, absorbing all of your lingering anxieties, pulling them away from your heavy limbs and burying them deep within the ancient stone. You are walking through a living monument to patience, a testament to the gentle power of growing and the absolute necessity of resting. In the very center of the vast open space rests a massive stone table, a central piece of the meager, ancient furniture kept by the master of the wood. It is a colossal slab of smooth, unadorned rock shaped entirely by the slow, patient hands of time and the gentle wearing of the natural elements. It sits perfectly still in the dim, ethereal light, surrounded by a few large, equally garnished stone vessels. Looking at this untouched arrangement, you are struck by a deep, beautiful, and heavy melancholy. It is exactly like walking into a massive, forgotten room in an old ancestral home, a place where the furniture has not been moved, cleaned, or altered for hundreds of generations. There is no dust of neglect here, only the soft, pristine dust motes that dance lazily in the pale starlight, adding a magical, lo-fi aesthetic to the heavy, stuffy air. This environment is an intentional, sensory cocoon designed specifically to shelter the mind from the chaotic exhaustion of the outside world. You step closer to the giant stone table, reaching out to softly rest your hand upon its cool, flat surface. The stone is incredibly grounding, offering a solid, unwavering anchor in the vast, dreamy ocean of the night. You lean slightly against its massive weight, feeling the lingering tension in your lower back, and your tired legs begin to entirely dissolve. Take a slow, expansive breath in, filling your chest with the deeply fragrant, insulated air of the ancient room. Hold the breath for just a moment, feeling the absolute permanence of the stone beneath your hand. And as you slowly exhale, let your physical body surrender to the comforting gravity of the earth. Let your shoulders drop, let your jaw relax, and let your eyes grow incredibly heavy with the sweet, inescapable pull of sleep. The quiet aisles of Welling Hall stand perfectly silent around you, a ring of towering, benevolent guardians watching over your much-needed rest. The deep indigo shadows deepen even further in the corners of the hall, blurring the hard edges of the massive tree trunks and softening the firm lines of the stone table until everything melts into a gorgeous, dreamy haze of charcoal and midnight blue. You do not need to walk any further tonight. You have found the ultimate refuge, a place so far removed from the waking world that time itself has simply forgotten to tick forward. The gentle murmur of the small stream weaving between the roots provides a constant, highly reliable lullaby, an endless repetition of soft, liquid syllables that smooths out the final, lingering wrinkles of your conscious thought. You slowly lower yourself to the soft, moss-covered ground near the base of one of the great pillar trees. Feeling the ancient earth rise up to meet you with a soft, welcoming embrace is less than #0. 5# is greater than. You rest your heavy head against the smooth bark, feeling the slow, geological heartbeat of the wood pulsing faintly against your skin. You are entirely safe here, hidden safely behind the shimmering curtain of water, shielded heavily by the high stone walls of Methadras, and watched over by the oldest, most patient beings in Middle-earth. There is absolutely nothing left for you to do but yield entirely to the heavy, stuffy warmth of the hidden hall. Let the ethereal starlight slowly fade from your vision. Let the deep, comforting darkness wrap completely around you, pulling you softly down into a profound, uninterrupted, is less than #0. 5# is greater than in beautifully peaceful slumber. Resting against the massive pillar tree, you feel the gentle, rumbling heartbeat of the earth pulsing slowly against your back. In the center of the vast, open space of Welling Hall rests the great stone table, completely untouched by the rapid and chaotic passage of centuries. As your tired eyes grow more accustomed to the beautiful, heavy darkness of the inner hall, you begin to notice a subtle, magical illumination gently revealing itself in the center of the room. Resting upon the smooth, unadorned rock of the table are several large, ancient stone jars and wide, rustic bowls. They are a quiet part of the meager furniture kept by the master of the wood, sitting perfectly still in the heavily insulated air. But they are not empty. From within these deep stone vessels comes a faint, beautiful luminescence, a soft and earthy green-gold glow that pushes gently against the deep indigo shadows of the room. This is not a harsh or piercing light, but a warm, deeply nostalgic radiance that feels exactly like the first breath of spring, captured and held perfectly still in the heart of winter. It is the Ent draft, the mysterious and legendary liquid that serves as the primary source of life and deep nourishment for the ancient tree shepherds. in this lo-fi, muted sanctuary, the soft, glowing liquid acts as a gentle, mesmerizing focal point for your weary mind, drawing your attention away from any lingering thoughts and replacing them with a singular, quiet wonder. The dim light dances across the charcoal tones of the stone, creating a slow-motion flicker that naturally encourages your heavy eyelids to lower even further. You slowly lift your heavy limbs from the soft moss, moving with the sluggish, unhurried grace of the ancient beings who call this hidden cavern their home. You drift effortlessly toward the center of the hall, guided safely by the soothing, ethereal light of the stone bowls. As you step closer, the rich, intoxicating scent of the liquid begins to fill the stuffy, cozy air. It smells of the deepest, coolest mountain springs, mixed with the fragrance of crushed leaves, rich earth, and the undeniable essence of slowly growing things. The Ent draft is concocted from the pristine river water of the mountain springs, holding within it the sheer, unyielding vitality of the earth itself. Yet, despite its profound and legendary power, it does not carry the frantic, rushing energy of the waking world. Instead, it possesses a deep, slow-moving nourishment, a liquid stasis that is specifically designed to anchor the physical body and entirely soothe the spirit. You stand before the massive stone table, looking down into the wide, heavy bowl. The green-gold liquid is perfectly still, acting as a flawless, glowing mirror that reflects the pale starlight from the roofless canopy above. Tiny dust motes dance in the faint aura of its glow, floating lazily over the surface of the water like microscopic fireflies suspended in time. The heavy nighttime silence of Welling Hall surrounds you, a protective, acoustic blanket that magnifies the intense, peaceful isolation of the moment. You are entirely alone with the ancient magic of the wood, safely tucked away in a forgotten corner of the world, where absolutely nothing can demand your attention or disturb your deep rest. With a slow and deliberate motion, you extend your hands and gently cup the sides of the heavy stone bowl. The ancient rock is wonderfully cool to the touch, grounding your physical body and sending a shiver of pure, refreshing relaxation up through your tired arms. You imagine bringing the heavy vessel to your lips, taking a slow, deep, and uninterrupted drink of the mysterious draught. The water is impossibly fresh and cold, yet as it flows through you, it immediately transforms into a deep, radiating warmth. The Ent draft is famous in the lore of Middle-earth for its profound rejuvenating effect, possessing special properties that once caused the wandering hobbits, Merry and Pippin, to grow noticeably taller and stronger overnight. But tonight, this ancient nourishment is not meant for physical growth. It is meant for absolute, unquestioning physical restoration. As the magical water settles deep within you, you can feel it gently absorbing the very last remnants of your exhaustion. The comforting warmth spreads slowly outward from your chest, moving like a heavy golden tide down through your torso, into your tired legs, and all the way to the tips of your toes. It carries the immense weight of 1,000 ancient trees, anchoring you firmly and safely to the ground. Your muscles, which have been tense and heavily guarded for so long, finally surrender completely, melting into a state of profound, undeniable lethargy. You feel incredibly heavy, wonderfully sluggish, and entirely content. The draft is filling the hollow spaces left by the stress of the day, replacing your modern anxiety with the solid, unwavering peace of the primordial forest. You gently release the stone bowl, letting it rest perfectly still upon the ancient table. The faint, earthy glow of the liquid begins to slowly dim in your vision, not because the light is fading, but because your eyes are finally willingly surrendering to the heavy, irresistible pull of sleep. The deep indigo and midnight blue shadows of the inner hall step forward, wrapping around you like a thick velvet cloak of absolute protection. You slowly lower yourself back down to the soft, moss-covered floor, feeling the cool, supportive earth rising up to cradle your incredibly heavy frame. The Ent draft has done its work perfectly, turning your physical body to stone and wood, making you an immovable, eternal part of Wellinghall's quiet aisles, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. You take a slow, expansive breath in, matching the geological, oceanic respiration of the colossal tree trunks that stand guard all around you. As you breathe out, the remaining glow of the green-gold water fades entirely into the comfortable, deeply insulated charcoal darkness. The gentle murmur of the mountain stream flowing between the roots outside the hall provides a distant, muffled lullaby, an endless repetition of liquid sounds that smooths over the final, lingering ripples of your consciousness. You are sinking now, drifting down through the heavy layers of time and memory, guided solely by the patient, unbothered spirits of the tree shepherds, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. There is nowhere else to go. There is absolutely nothing left to carry. The ancient nourishment of the forest holds you securely in its quiet grip, promising a night of unbroken, perfect restoration. Let the darkness fold over you completely. Let the heavy, beautiful silence of the hidden cavern carry you effortlessly into a deep, dreamless, and profoundly peaceful slumber. You gently leave the heavy, stone-carved sanctuary of Wellinghall behind, your physical body feeling wonderfully grounded and completely restored by the ancient magic of the Ent drafts. As you drift slowly back out through the shimmering curtain of falling water, the cool mountain mist kisses your cheeks one last time, sealing the profound peace deep within your chest. You step back onto the soft, padded floor of the outer forest, allowing your unhurried footsteps to carry you away from the rocky slopes of Methydras and into a noticeably softer, gentler domain. The towering, impenetrable walls of ancient evergreens slowly begin to thin, is less than #0. 5# is greater than their massive, imposing trunks, stepping aside to reveal a delicate and incredibly peaceful clearing. The heavy, stuffy atmosphere of the deep woods lightens just a fraction, replaced by a cool, soothing breeze that seems to carry a lighter, more melodic whisper. You have entered a beautiful, secluded grove dedicated entirely to the slender, graceful rowan trees. In the ancient tongues, these trees are also known as the mountain ash, or by the old name quickbeam, beloved for their elegance and their quiet, enduring beauty. The environment here is profoundly different from the massive, overwhelming scale of Treebeard's Hall. It is a space of delicate poetry, a quiet, nostalgic garden hidden safely within the vastness of the wild. The deep indigo shadows do not pull heavily here. Instead, they drape softly over the slender trunks and delicate branches, creating a dreamy, hazy watercolor of midnight blue and soft charcoal. This serene grove is the cherished sanctuary of Bregalad, an Ent known in the common tongue as Quickbeam. Compared to the oldest tree shepherds, Bregalad is considered youthful and uncharacteristically hasty, possessing a lighter, more yielding spirit. He is the gentle guardian of the rowans, standing vigil over trees with beautiful names like Carnamiri, Lasanista, and Orofan. As you walk slowly through the quiet clusters of trees, you can almost feel his benevolent presence in the air, a soft, protective energy that asks absolutely nothing of you. In the folklore of many ancient worlds, the rowan tree has long been recognized as a powerful symbol of protection, a quiet sentinel that wards off negative energy and ensures absolute safety. To stand within Bregalad's grove is to be completely shielded from the chaotic, rushing, forcing, and anxieties of the waking world. You are held within a magical boundary where only peaceful thoughts are permitted to exist. A very gentle, lazy breeze stirs the delicate, feathery leaves of the rowans, creating a soft, sweeping sound that mimics a tender, whispered shush. It is a motherly, comforting, acoustic rhythm, entirely different from the deep, oceanic roaring of the high canopy. It brushes past your ears, untangling the final, stubborn knots of your daily stress, coaxing your mind to finally let go of its tight grip on reality. You allow your shoulders to drop completely, feeling the sweet, irresistible heaviness returning to your limbs. You pause in your slow wandering, resting your hand against the smooth, slender trunk of a nearby rowan. Looking up into the delicate canopy, you notice the beautiful clusters of dark berries resting silently among the leaves. In the waking daylight, these berries would shine with a brilliant, vibrant red, but here, bathed in the lo-fi aesthetic of the midnight woodland, they appear as rich, dark pearls resting softly against the indigo sky. The faint, ethereal starlight catches the moisture on the berries, turning them into tiny, glowing embers of pale, sleepy light. Tiny dust motes dance slowly around the clusters, floating perfectly still in the cool, refreshing air as less than hash thereof. 5 hash is greater than the visual repetition of the swaying branches and the soft, glowing berries acts as a natural, hypnotic pendulum, drawing your focus away from the chaotic noise of your own mind. You do not need to think about the past, and you do not need to plan for the future. You only need to observe the slow, gentle swaying of the mountain ash. The melancholy of this place is sweet and deeply restorative. It is the wistful nostalgia for a simpler, slower time, a quiet yearning that naturally slows the beating of your heart. Bregalad's love for these trees is palpable in the still air, a profound and tender affection that wraps around you like a warm, comforting embrace. The young tree shepherd is watching over the grove so that you do not have to. You are completely free to close your eyes, to surrender your vigilance, and to simply exist as a quiet, resting part of the forest. The urge to sleep becomes a magnificent, overwhelming wave, a heavy tide that washes gently over your consciousness. Let us match the gentle, sweeping rhythm of the rowan branches. As the lazy breeze rises, take a slow, expansive breath in, filling your lungs with the clean, crisp scent of the mountain ash and the cool night air. Hold it for a moment, feeling the absolute protection of the ancient grove surrounding you. And as the breeze fades into a profound, heavy silence, exhale completely, releasing a long, soft sigh that carries all of your remaining tension down into the soft earth. Your body feels impossibly heavy, anchored firmly to the ground by the unseen roots of the rowan trees. The deep indigo shadows begin to rise, blurring the edges of your vision and softening the world into a comfortable, deeply insulated darkness. The quiet aisles of Bregalad's sanctuary stretch out before you, an endless, welcoming pathway into the realm of dreams. You are drifting effortlessly now, guided by the tender, sweeping lullaby of the leaves and the protective, unhurried spirit of the young Ent. The waking world is a distant, forgotten memory, completely sealed away behind the towering pines and the shimmering water of the deep valleys. Here, there is only the gentle power of resting, the slow, rhythmic breathing of the earth, and the undeniable, sweet gravity of slumber. Yield entirely to the heavy, sleepy mood of the rowan grove. Let the soft, charcoal shadows fold completely over your mind, carrying you downward into a profound, uninterrupted, and beautifully perfect sleep. You gently leave the delicate canopy of the rowan grove behind, allowing the soft lullaby of Bregalad's sanctuary to fade into memory. As you step forward, the terrain beneath your feet begins a steady, downward slope, guiding you further away from the edges of the waking world and into the very depths of Amberona. The slender, graceful trunks of the mountain ash are soon replaced once again by the colossal, towering forms of the most ancient tree shepherds. As you descend deeper into this hidden, secluded valley, you can feel an incredible, almost physical weight pressing gently against the cool night air. Time itself seems to have entirely stopped down here, perfectly preserved within the heavily insulated shadows of the deep wood. A thick, ethereal mist begins to roll slowly across the soft, moss-covered ground, swirling lazily around your ankles like a slow-moving tide of pale starlight. This mist acts as an acoustic blanket, muffling the sound of your own breathing and swallowing the last echoes of your conscious thoughts. The deep indigo shadows do not merely pool at the base of the roots, they rise up to fill the entire space, creating a heavily muted, lo-fi watercolor of midnight blue and rich charcoal. You are walking down into the absolute bedrock of the forest, a place so removed from the modern age that the frantic rushing of your daily life simply cannot survive the descent. With every unhurried step into the mist, your physical body becomes incredibly heavy, anchored firmly to the ancient earth by the overwhelming, profound stasis of the valley. As you wander slowly through this foggy, submerged landscape, a heavy and beautiful melancholy begins to settle deep within your chest. It is not a painful sorrow, but rather a profound, sweet nostalgia, a wistful yearning for quiet ages that have long since passed into memory. This is the true heart of the forest sadness, the lingering grief for the lost Entwives who once loved the ordered gardens, the gentle agriculture, and the teaching of things to grow. Thousands of years have passed since the tree shepherds last saw their beloved counterparts, yet the memory of them hangs suspended in the thick, still air of the valley, perfectly preserved by the infinite patience of the Ents. This deeply moving, elegiac atmosphere is immensely powerful, naturally invoking a state of saudade, a gentle, comforting longing that bypasses your logical mind and speaks directly to your weary soul. When you immerse yourself in a sorrow as grand and as beautifully poetic as the loss of the Entwives, the trivial, exhausting anxieties of your own modern life suddenly evaporate. Your deadlines, your stresses, and your daily obligations are entirely washed away by the sheer scale of this ancient memory. You are invited to simply share in the quiet, dignified silence of the wood, to become a peaceful observer of a world that has learned to endure solely by standing still. The melancholy acts as a weighted blanket for your spirit, pressing down upon your chest with a comforting gravity that naturally slows the beating of your heart. You take a deep breath in, drawing the misty air of the forgotten valley into your lungs. You come to a gentle halt near the center of the deep valley, standing perfectly still as the thick mist continues its slow, hypnotic swirl around the massive trunks of the ancient trees. Many of the Ents who dwell in these deepest, darkest parts of the forest have long since stopped moving altogether, growing entirely tree-ish as they surrender to the heavy, uninterrupted slumber of the ages. They stand around you like colossal, silent monuments, their rough bark heavily draped in weeping beards of grey lichen that brush softly against the misty ground. You reach out, letting your fingertips rest lightly against the side of a giant, sleeping shepherd is less than #0. 5 is greater than. The wood is cold and incredibly dense, radiating a sense of absolute permanence. As you close your eyes, you can feel the faint vibration of the earth pulsing slowly upward through the roots and into the trunk, a geological heartbeat that thrums with the ancient power of growing things. This slow, steady rhythm is the ultimate lullaby, a metronome set to the incredibly lethargic pace of the oldest living beings in Middle-earth. It demands nothing from you, asking only that you match its profoundly slow respiration. As the ancient wood imperceptibly expands, you draw a slow, deep breath into your own chest, feeling the cool mist settling over your heavy limbs. You hold the breath in the heavy nighttime silence, feeling the absolute safety of the secluded valley wrapping around you like an impenetrable shield. And as the sleeping giant slowly exhales, you release your breath into the fog, surrendering your grip on the waking hours. There is a sweet, irresistible ache behind your eyes now, a desperate, undeniable urge to sink completely into the dreamy, charcoal darkness. The lo-fi aesthetic of the deepest woods has done its work perfectly, smoothing over the sharp, abrasive edges of reality and replacing them with a soft, blurred landscape of muted tones and ethereal shadows. The tiny dust motes that normally dance in the faint starlight are now swallowed by the heavy mist, leaving only a pure, unbroken veil of indigo and midnight blue. You feel a profound isolation here, born of ultimate protection and comfort. Hidden away in the most inaccessible corner of the world, you are cut off from the rushing clock and the burden of your thoughts. The ancient, slumbering Ents have formed a silent, impenetrable ring around you, their massive forms ensuring that absolutely nothing can disturb your much-needed rest. You slowly lower your heavy body to the ground, sinking deeply into the thick, plush cushion of the ancient moss. It yields perfectly to your weight, rising up to cradle your tired spine and support your heavy head. As you lay back against the soft earth, the thick mist rolls gently over your face, a cool, invisible caress that sweeps away the final ripples of consciousness. The heavy, beautiful melancholy of the valley folds over you entirely, carrying you softly down the final steps toward the edge of dreams. You do not need to stay awake any longer. You are entirely safe, deeply loved by the quiet earth, and perfectly ready to let go. Surrender to the profound stillness of the deep woods. Let the comforting darkness consume your vision entirely as you drift effortlessly into a beautifully restorative slumber. You gently leave the misty, profound melancholy of the deepest woods behind, allowing the heavy, rolling fog to settle comfortably into the quiet valleys of your memory. The soft, moss-covered ground beneath your feet continues its steady, unhurried slope downward, guiding you ever further from the rushing edges of the waking world. With every slow, deliberate step you take along this descending path, the atmosphere around you grows incredibly still, entirely insulated from the chaotic winds and the frantic ticking of modern time. The colossal, ancient trunks of the towering tree shepherds begin to weave tightly together once more, forming a natural, impenetrable corridor that gently funnels you toward your ultimate destination. Soon, rising before you in the dreamy, ethereal starlight, you see a massive, unbroken wall of dark green. It is an immense, incredibly thick hedge, composed entirely of ancient evergreen trees, their heavy, needle-laden branches interlocking flawlessly to create a perfect circle of absolute protection. This imposing natural barricade stands as the final guardian of the most secluded sanctuary in Amberona, a living shield that ensures the absolute purity of the silence held within. The deep indigo and midnight blue shadows pool heavily at the base of this green wall, blurring the sharp edges of the pine needles into a soft, lo-fi watercolor of profound, sleepy melancholy. You stand before this magnificent boundary, feeling a deep, instinctual reassurance that you are safe, perfectly hidden, and fully prepared to leave the burdens of consciousness behind. You step forward, moving with the sluggish, wonderfully heavy grace of the ancient forest, and press your hands gently against the dark green wall. To your pleasant surprise, the heavy foliage of the evergreen hedge yields effortlessly to your touch, parting with a soft, sweeping hush that welcomes you inside. You step through the thick branches, enveloped for a brief moment in the sharp scent of crushed pine and cool mountain earth, before emerging on the other side. The landscape before you opens up into a breathtaking, perfectly round depression that has been hollowed out of the earth itself. You have crossed the final threshold into Durdingle, is less than Hashzero. 5 is greater than a secluded basin, whose name in the ancient tongues of men translates beautifully to the hidden hollow. This wide, sunken bowl rests entirely clear of the towering forest trees, offering a rare, unobstructed view of the starry sky above, while remaining fiercely protected on all sides by the towering evergreen hedge. As you begin your slow, careful descent down the gentle slope toward the center of the depression, you immediately notice the profound change in the acoustic atmosphere. The heavy nighttime silence here is absolute, perfectly insulated by the thick wall of evergreens that swallows every stray echo and completely blocks out the distant murmurs of the outside world. It is an acoustic vacuum of pure peace, a sensory deprivation chamber woven from living wood and deep earth, designed specifically to cradle your weary mind. This hidden hollow is a place of immense historical weight, known in the deep lore of Middle-earth as the traditional gathering place of the tree shepherds, the site of the legendary Ent. For countless ages, the most ancient and patient beings in the world have slowly converged upon this exact depression to deliberate, to share their long thoughts, and to decide the fate of the forest. Yet tonight, the circular basin is completely empty of their massive forms. The great gathering has concluded, leaving behind only an overwhelming, residual aura of profound stasis and unbothered peace. The lingering energy of the Entmoot acts as a heavy, weighted blanket for your spirit, pressing gently down upon your shoulders and smoothing away the final wrinkles of your daily anxiety. To physically lower yourself into this deep depression is to beautifully mirror the neurological descent of your own mind as it sinks gracefully into the deepest, most restorative stages of non-REM sleep is less than #0. 5 is greater than. With each downward step into the bowl, you are moving further away from the shallow layers of light slumber, sinking heavily into a realm where the frantic logic of your waking life simply cannot survive. The muted charcoal shadows of the surrounding hedge seem to rise up and fold over you, a protective embrace that deliberately narrows your focus and completely eliminates the chaotic distractions of the external universe. The urge to surrender your physical body to the earth becomes a magnificent, overwhelming wave, a sweet and irresistible gravity that pulls you downward with a tender, motherly force. You are sinking, lowering, descending into the absolute bedrock of your own tranquility. The soft, plush grass of the hollow's floor reaches up to meet your heavy, tired feet, offering a perfectly cushioned foundation for your final rest. The air down here in the deep basin is wonderfully stuffy and perfectly still, holding the incredibly cozy, ancient warmth of a secret room that has been kept entirely safe from the ravages of time, is less than #0. 5 is greater than. You do not need to hold on to a single thought anymore. The massive, dark green hedge is standing vigil in your place, an unbreakable fortress of nature that guarantees your complete and absolute protection from the forcing and rushing of the day. As you reach the lowest, most central point of the hidden hollow, you feel a profound, emotional release, a beautiful yielding of your conscious control. Take a slow, incredibly deep breath in, drawing the still, fragrant air of the hidden hollow down into the very bottom of your lungs, feeling the comforting weight of the secluded earth pressing softly against you. Hold that absolute stillness for a long, quiet moment in the dark. And as you finally slowly exhale, let your voice drop to a gentle inner whisper, releasing all remaining tension, all lingering fears, and all memory of the waking hours. Let the deep, charcoal darkness of the evergreen wall consume your vision entirely. You are hidden, you are safe, and you are descending perfectly into the heavy, beautiful is less than #0. 5# is greater than and absolutely endless embrace of a dreamless slumber. You have reached the very bottom of the deep, hidden hollow of Durdingle, your tired feet resting softly upon the plush, unbothered grass of the sunken basin. As you stand in the center of this perfectly round depression, completely insulated from the rushing winds of the outside world by the massive, towering wall of dark evergreen trees, you realize you have finally found the absolute heart of the ancient wood. The heavy, sweeping melancholy of the upper forest does not reach down into this deep bowl, nor does the chaotic, forcing energy of the waking hours is less than #0. 5# is greater than. There is only an overwhelming oceanic sense of perfect stasis, a heavy nighttime silence that fills the stuffy, cozy air like a physical weight. The wide, circular floor of the hollow is beautifully clear of the dense, overarching canopy that characterizes the rest of Fangorn, opening up to offer an unobstructed view of the quiet, starry sky above. And yet, this sacred gathering place of the Entmoot is not entirely empty. Growing directly in the very center of the hollow, standing as the solitary guardians of this deepest sanctuary, are 3 magnificent, tall silver birches. In the dim, ethereal, lo-fi light of the midnight woodland, their smooth, pale white bark gleams softly against the profound, heavy charcoal shadows of the surrounding evergreen hedge. They stand close together, an elegant and timeless trio that draws your weary eyes and anchors your wandering mind. You move slowly toward the center of the grassy basin, your body feeling wonderfully heavy and incredibly slow, matching the deliberate, unhurried pace of the ancient tree shepherds. The silver birches do not loom or impose. They radiate a gentle, motherly grace, their delicate branches reaching upward into the deep indigo night with an attitude of absolute surrender. The deep midnight blues and muted charcoal tones of the environment are perfectly offset by the soft, almost magical luminescence of the white bark, creating a mesmerizing visual focus that naturally hypnotizes your tired consciousness. Tiny, invisible dust motes dance lazily around the trunks, suspended in the incredibly still, heavy air. As you step within arm's reach of the central birch, you reach out and press your palm flat against its smooth, cool surface. The bark feels entirely different from the rough, deeply grooved wood of the older giants you encountered on the mountain slopes. It is soft, yielding, and profoundly comforting, carrying a gentle, rhythmic vibration that pulses directly from the deepest roots of the earth. You can feel the slow geological heartbeat of Middle Earth thrumming within the white wood, a steady oceanic rhythm that requires absolutely nothing of you, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. It is a slow, endless cycle of drawing in the cool mountain water and exhaling pure, untainted peace into the hidden hollow. Your own heart rate naturally slows to match this ancient metronome, your breath deepening effortlessly as the last remnants of your daily anxiety simply evaporate into the misty dark. The urge to finally lay down your heavy burdens is no longer a choice, but a magnificent, undeniable necessity. The soft, mossy earth at the base of the 3 silver birches seems to rise up to meet you, offering a perfectly cushioned, deeply inviting bed woven from the ancient grass of Durdingle. With a slow, graceful sigh, you lower your exhausted body to the ground, allowing your back to rest fully against the supportive, unyielding foundation of the sunken basin is less than #0. 5# is greater than. The moment you recline against the roots, the sheer gravity of the ancient forest embraces you entirely, pressing gently against your shoulders and your heavy limbs like a thick, warm, weighted blanket. You are physically rooted to this spot, entirely safe, completely hidden, and fiercely protected by the impenetrable evergreen hedge that forms an acoustic and visual fortress all around you. You tilt your heavy head back, looking straight up along the smooth, glowing white trunks of the birches as they stretch toward the faint, pale starlight above is less than #0. 5# is greater than. The delicate leaves of the birches sway by a fraction of an inch in the utterly still air, an imperceptible movement that mirrors the slow, hypnotic drifting of your own mind as it moves further and further away from the shores of waking reality. The stuffy, deeply insulated warmth of the hollow wraps around your skin, ensuring that not even the slightest chill of the night can disturb your profound rest. You have journeyed through the vast, overwhelming scale of the deep woods, and now you have arrived at the ultimate point of perfect, unbroken stillness. There is absolutely nothing left for you to do, nowhere left for you to go, and not a single thought left for you to carry. The heavy, nighttime silence of the hidden hollow has completely absorbed the echoes of the past and the expectations of the future, leaving only the beautiful, quiet sanctuary of this exact, suspended moment. The dim, lo-fi aesthetic of the midnight woodland begins to blur and soften at the edges of your vision, the deep indigo shadows rising slowly to gently cover your tired eyes. Let us take one final, long, and incredibly slow breath together with the ancient forest is less than #0. 5# is greater than. As the sleeping earth draws in the cool, misty air, breathe in deeply, feeling the absolute safety and the profound peace of the silver birches filling your chest. Hold that ultimate stillness for a long, heavy moment in the dark, feeling the roots of the trees anchoring your spirit. And now, as the forest slowly, peacefully exhales, release your breath into the night, letting every ounce of tension, every lingering worry, and every shred of consciousness drain entirely from your heavy limbs, sinking down into the soft, welcoming soil. The soft, white glow of the birch bark slowly fades into a comfortable, deeply protective charcoal darkness. The whispering lullaby of the leaves grows fainter and fainter until it dissolves completely into the eternal, heavy silence of the ancient wood. You are entirely safe. You are completely at peace. Let the heavy, beautiful shadows fold completely over you, carrying you downward, ever downward, into a timeless, perfect, and beautifully endless slumber.